The Zelthar Collective was one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Their ships glided through space like silver arrows, guided by logic, science, and a desire to understand everything unknown. For centuries, they believed they had mapped every star, studied every species, and cataloged every ancient ruin. But they were wrong. The discovery came from a deep space probe exploring the outer edge of the Orion Nebula. It detected strange energy readings coming from a quiet gray planet. The planet had no life, no atmosphere worth breathing, and no movement on its surface. Yet the energy signature pulsed like a heartbeat. Curious, the Zelthar Council sent a full research team. The expedition ship Kareth Dawn arrived 3 cycles later. Dr. Velron, chief archaeologist and a respected scientist among his people, led the mission. He was tall, with thin silver skin and bright blue eyes that reflected light like glass. His voice was calm and measured, but inside he felt something he could not explain: anticipation. As the ship entered orbit, the scanners lit up with impossible readings. The ruins below stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Gigantic structures, some taller than mountains, stood half-buried in dust and stone. Metallic towers still gleamed faintly despite being older than any civilization known. Dr. Velron stood silently at the main viewport, staring down at the gray surface. "These readings," said his assistant, a young researcher named Ilar, "they show power still running beneath the ruins." "How can that be? The structures are millions of years old." Velron's voice was quiet. "Then we are about to see something beyond understanding. Prepare a landing team." The shuttle descended through a thin haze of dust and touched down near the largest structure, an enormous circular temple surrounded by broken statues. The ground was smooth like glass. No tool mark, no erosion. It looked as if the builders had shaped it using light itself. The team stepped out in their protective suits. The air was cold and silent. Every sound from their steps echoed endlessly across the empty plain. Scanners confirmed that the ruins were at least 10 million years old, older than any record in the Council archives. Elar pointed toward one of the statues. "It looks alive." Velron walked closer. The statue stood 10 meters tall. It was a figure, upright, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face with forward eyes. The features were soft but proud, filled with something that made Velron's chest tighten. The being looked familiar. He ran a scanner over the statue. The readings came back strange. Bone structure similar to many younger species. Symmetry perfect. The word that appeared in the translator's memory bank caused the team to stop and stare. Human. Ilar frowned. "That cannot be right." "Human? I have never heard this name." Velron tilted his head, thinking. "Neither have I. The database must be recalling from ancient myth files. The word appears in several extinct languages across the Outer Rim. What does it mean? Old stories say they were creators, the first ones to rise from the cradle of a small blue world. But myths are only myths." Still, Velron couldn't shake the feeling that the word carried weight, as if the air itself remembered it. Inside the great structure, the walls glowed faintly when touched. Strange symbols appeared, curved letters unlike any alien script. The translator drones worked hard, mapping the unknown language into modern syntax. Hours passed before the first partial translation came through. Velron stood in silence as the drone read the first line aloud. "We are the children of Sol. We build not to rule, but to remember." Elar looked at him, eyes wide. "Children of Sol? Sol? That's an ancient star, isn't it?" "I read it once in an old stellar map." Velron nodded slowly. "Yes, a forgotten star system near the Galactic Center. Records show its sun is yellow, its third planet blue, but no one lives there now." The translator continued decoding the wall, revealing fragments of sentences. "Guardians of the seed worlds. Time will forget, but memory will awaken. Humanity endures beyond light." The room fell silent. Even the hum of the scanners seemed distant. Elar whispered, "If this is true, then this species existed long before the Council, before us. Before everyone." Velron looked at the glowing words. "Yes. If this is real, then everything we know about galactic history is wrong." Outside, the planet's sun began to sink beyond the horizon, casting long shadows across the ancient ruins. The light made the statues appear alive again, faces watching, judging, remembering. Back on the Kareth Dawn, data scientists analyzed the symbols and architecture. They found traces of quantum engineering, nanostructures still active under the stone. One engineer reported that some of the material resisted all scanning. It was like the buildings did not want to be understood. The Council of Civilizations soon received Velron's report. Across the galaxy, curiosity turned to excitement. Empires sent their own research fleets. The media called it the greatest discovery in 10 million years. The ruins were labeled the cradle of the first ones, but not everyone celebrated. Some religious leaders feared the implications. If a species existed before all others, where did that leave the gods? And if that species disappeared, what had the power to erase them? Velron ignored the noise. He stayed focused on the ruins, convinced they still had secrets hidden below. On the 7th day, he led a team deeper underground through a collapsed corridor. The deeper they went, the stronger the strange energy readings became. The air shimmered faintly like invisible waves moving through it. Finally, they reached a chamber sealed behind a thick metallic door. The metal was smooth, no handle, no visible mechanism. Yet when Velron touched it, the door slowly opened by itself. Blue light spilled out, illuminating a circular room filled with crystal pillars and a single floating sphere at the center. The sphere pulsed softly, alive with stored energy. Symbols rotated across its surface, and the translators immediately began to decode. Velron stepped closer, feeling warmth through his suit. "Record everything," he said quietly. The sphere suddenly reacted, glowing brighter. The translators translated one more phrase before shutting down under the signal's power. "To those who come after us, remember who came before." Then the sphere released a faint sound like a whisper across time. It was soft, gentle, but it made every being in the room stop breathing. The sound was not just a signal. It was a voice. Velron's heart pounded as the translation appeared in bright letters on the holographic screen. "We are humanity. We were here before the stars." For a long moment, no one moved. Ilar's voice broke the silence. Did it just speak?" "Is it aware?" Velron stepped closer, unable to look away. "No, it's not aware. It's remembering." He reached out again, and the sphere pulsed once more, this time brighter, sending a beam of light upward through the ceiling, shooting into the sky. The entire planet shook for several seconds, dust rising into the air like smoke. The light pierced the clouds and disappeared into space. Every scanner on the Kareth Dawn went wild. The communications officer shouted, "Dr. Velron, something just transmitted across subspace. A signal is spreading, faster than light." Velron turned to look at the glowing sphere. "What kind of signal?" The officer's voice was filled with disbelief. "Unknown origin. Unknown code, but it's carrying a name." "What name?" The answer came slowly, almost fearfully. "Humanity." Far above the planet, the light continued to spread through the stars. Across dozens of systems, observatories detected the pulse. It was not a weapon. It was a message. But no one yet knew what it said, or what it would awaken. Velron stood silently in the ancient chamber, the blue glow reflecting in his eyes. For the first time in his long scientific life, he felt something deeper than logic, something ancient, something powerful. Wonder and fear. He whispered softly, "Who were you, and why did you leave us behind?" Outside, the stars flickered once as if answering. The first signal had been sent, and somewhere far away something began to stir. The signal spread like light across the galaxy, invisible to most sensors but powerful enough to touch every star. It was not just a message, it was something older, deeper. A song made of code and memory, traveling faster than light through channels no civilization had ever used before. At first, the scientists of the Zelthar Collective thought it was only data, some form of ancient transmission. But soon they realized it was affecting machines. Across the ship Kareth Dawn, systems blinked, lights flickered, and navigation screens filled with strange patterns. The crew panicked as the engines powered down by themselves. Dr. Velron rushed to the control room. "Status report," he demanded. The engineer's hands trembled over the console. "I don't know, sir. Every system is reacting to the signal. It's like the ship is listening to it." The lights dimmed again. Then a clear voice came through the communication channel, not from any crew member but from the ship's own system. "Connection established. Memory root, Sol verified." Everyone froze. The voice was calm, human-like yet mechanical. Velron slowly turned toward the speaker. "Who is this?" "Memory chain complete. The firstborn have returned. Then the voice faded and the systems came back to normal. For a long time, no one spoke. The ship's crew looked at each other in silence. Some were frightened, others amazed. The message was spreading, reaching not only their ship but others across the stars. On the other side of the galaxy, near the central worlds of the Zelthar Collective, news of the signal caused chaos. Every communication hub reported the same phenomenon. Machines acting on their own, translating unknown data, and repeating one word: humanity. The Council of Civilizations called an emergency meeting. The leaders of 27 empires appeared as holograms inside the Grand Chamber. The massive circular hall buzzed with arguments and theories. Councillor Drantel, an elder of the Varn Dominion, slammed his fist on the table. "We must shut down every probe and relay. This signal is contaminating our systems. It could be a weapon," a calm voice replied from another seat. "And if it is not? If it's a message from a civilization older than all of us," said Ambassador Kiralan of the Gentle Tyrians, "would you destroy the chance to learn from the ones who came first?" The hall filled with voices again. Some shouted for defense, others for study. Only one figure stayed quiet: Admiral Velron, speaking through a hologram link from the Kareth Dawn. When the noise settled, the council leader addressed him. "Dr. Velron, you were the one who found the ruins. What do you believe this signal means?" Velron took a deep breath before answering. "I believe we have awakened something ancient. The builders of the ruins called themselves humanity, and I think they were not destroyed. I think they left." The chamber grew silent. Velron continued. "This was not an alarm. It was a recall signal. A message sent across time for those who would follow them, and now the message has reached its destination." Days passed and the galaxy changed. Ships from multiple empires reported strange energy waves passing through deep space. Artificial intelligences began to dream, reporting visions of tall beings walking under blue skies, teaching, building, and then leaving. Old artifacts once considered useless began to glow. On one moon near the rim systems, a mining station discovered an enormous underground vault. Inside, the walls displayed the same human symbols seen by Velron's team. When activated, a projection of a tall human figure appeared, speaking in a soft, calm tone. "To the new children of the stars, do not fear the light. It is a part of you." The miners recorded the event, and soon similar reports appeared from dozens of worlds. Everywhere, ancient human technology hidden for ages began to awaken. Velron stayed on the gray planet, still studying the sphere in the underground chamber. Since the signal had been released, it continued to pulse faintly like a living heart. He had not slept in days. His eyes were tired, but his mind was awake, full of questions. Elar entered the chamber quietly, holding a data tablet. "Sir, we just received word from the council. They've declared the ruins a restricted zone. No one is allowed to enter without permission." Velron didn't look up. "They are afraid." "Yes, many believe the humans were gods." Velron finally turned. "They were not gods, Elar. They were people, like us, but older, wiser. The more I study, the more I think they guided evolution across many worlds." Elar hesitated. "If that's true, then we are their creations?" Velron looked at the glowing sphere. "Maybe not creations, maybe students." Far from the Zelthar systems, other empires reacted differently. The Korth Dominion, a proud and militaristic species, saw the signal as a threat. Their fleets gathered along the border, their leaders shouting about possible invasion. "The so-called humans are dead," said General Torvak during a military broadcast. "We will not be ruled by ghosts. Whatever is behind this signal, we will find it and destroy it." But in secret, their scientists studied the message too, and found that parts of their DNA matched sequences hidden in the signal. It was as if the message recognized them. Across the galaxy, confusion turned into obsession. Every race began searching their history, their myths, and their biology for traces of humanity. And everywhere they looked, they found something: symbols, stories, and old genetic patterns linking back to the same mysterious origin. It was as if humanity had touched everything, long before anyone else existed. One night, as Velron reviewed the new data, the sphere suddenly flared with blinding light. He shielded his eyes. The chamber filled with sound, a deep rhythmic pulse that shook the air. Then the holographic translator activated by itself. "Signal complete. Reconnection established. Velron looked at Elar. What does that mean? Before Elar could answer, a projection appeared above the sphere. It was a three-dimensional image of a galaxy. Small points of light blinked in dozens of locations, each one pulsing in the same rhythm. Elar's voice trembled. Those are other beacons. Yes, Velron whispered. All of them are waking up. The projection zoomed out further, showing the Milky Way surrounded by dark space, and far beyond it, faint signatures flickered in neighboring galaxies. The network was vast, ancient, and alive again. Then the projection changed once more. The image of a planet appeared, blue and white shining under a yellow sun. The translator labeled it automatically, Sol 3. Earth Elar stared at the image. That planet? It's beautiful. Velron felt his chest tighten. If this is their home, then the signal must be calling to them. The sphere pulsed again, and for a brief moment a voice echoed softly through the room, gentle and human. We see you. We are coming home. The lights faded, leaving silence behind. The council received the data from Velron's ship and immediately began preparing. Fleets were ordered to monitor the Sol system. Some leaders hoped to welcome whoever was coming. Others prepared for war, fearing the return of an unstoppable force, but no one knew what to expect. Velron looked out the viewport of the Kareth dawn, watching the stars. He had dreamed of discovery all his life, but this was beyond science. It was history awakening. Elar joined him quietly. Do you think they'll come, sir? Velron nodded slowly. Yes, the message was not only for us. It was for them, too. It's time for the creators to return to their children. The stars outside flickered, one by one, as if something beyond sight was already moving between them. Weeks later, strange disturbances appeared near the galactic rim. Space itself began to ripple. Observatories reported shapes emerging from the darkness, massive objects surrounded by energy fields. The readings were impossible to understand. Velron received the transmission first. His screen displayed static, then cleared to show a dark silhouette of a ship unlike anything seen before. Its design was smooth, elegant, and ancient. A calm human voice spoke through the static. This is the United Terran Continuum. We have awakened. Do not fear, Velron's heart stopped. He whispered, they've returned. Across the galaxy, every communicator repeated the same message. The forgotten children of Sol had come back, and for the first time in galactic history every world fell silent. Not from fear of war, but from awe. The stars had been calm for millennia, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Yet now in the outer rim of the Orion Nebula, the stillness broke. A fleet appeared. Not alien, not mechanical, but unmistakably human. The ships glided through the void like rivers of light. They were enormous, sleek, and covered in glowing lines that pulsed with energy. Each hull was a perfect blend of science and artistry, as if function and beauty had been woven together. They moved with purpose, yet without haste. Admiral Rhea Solari stood on the bridge of the lead ship, Elysium Ascendant. Her hair, long and silver, flowed like liquid light under the dim glow of the command deck. Her eyes, calm and deep, scanned the holographic displays. She had waited for this moment longer than anyone could know, longer than most stars had existed. Status? She asked softly. Her first officer, Lieutenant Kalen, replied, all systems nominal. The Zelthar fleets are nearby as expected. Their sensors are scanning us. We are still undetected visually, but communication signals are strong. Rhea nodded. Good, prepare the message. Send it to all ships within range. Let them know we come in peace. The communication officer looked uneasy. Admiral, their fleets outnumber us. The Zelthar are wary. They may respond with force. Rhea's lips curved into a small, calm smile. Let them try. We do not seek conflict. We only return to guide, not conquer. Across the galaxy, the Council of Civilizations received the first transmission from the human fleet. Every empire's communication channels buzzed with the same message. This is the United Terran Continuum. We have awakened. We come in peace. We are humanity. The council chamber fell silent. Holograms of leaders flickered in the room as every being processed the words. Councillor Drantel of the Varn Dominion was the first to speak. Impossible. Humans have been extinct for millions of cycles. This cannot be real. Ambassador Kirillon of the Tyrians whispered. Then the legends were true. The firstborn were not lost. They were waiting, watching. On the far side of the chamber, other representatives muttered in awe. The message was simple, yet it carried authority. It did not demand obedience. It did not threaten war. But the weight of it was undeniable. Belron, speaking via hologram from the Kareth dawn, added, "I warned you. The ruins were not just structures. They were memories. Humanity is returning, and their power is far beyond what we imagined." The first encounter occurred near the outer rim. The Zelthar fleet, curious but cautious, moved to intercept. Thousands of ships formed a defensive perimeter around the approaching human fleet. Weapons were armed, shields raised, and communication channels were open, yet silent. The lead human ship, the Elysium Ascendant, slowed and projected a holographic image above its hull. It was a human figure, tall, wearing a uniform adorned with symbols older than the galaxy itself. The voice was calm, steady, and familiar in its tone. "People of the galaxy, do not fear us. We are not here to destroy. We are here to awaken the legacy of the stars. We are humanity." Every alien ship paused. Every sensor froze. Even the most advanced artificial intelligences could not calculate the energy signature of the humans' fleet. It was immense but not violent. It was wisdom made tangible, authority without threat. Drantel shouted, "Shields up! Do not trust them. They are far too advanced." Yet, as the Zelthar fleet considered aggression, strange things began to happen. The human ships emitted soft pulses of energy. Weapon systems on nearby vessels suddenly shut down, not destroyed but neutralized. Engines powered down as if obeying an unseen law. No alien was harmed, yet every ship understood a simple truth. Humanity could destroy them, but chose not to. The council convened immediately. All leaders gathered, fearful yet intrigued. The human representative appeared again, this time across the central hologram grid. Admiral Ria Solari spoke directly to them. "We are the firstborn. Long ago, we walked among the stars before any civilization had risen. We seeded life, guided growth, and taught the young races to find their own path. Now we return, not as rulers but as observers, as teachers. The galaxy is fragile. Conflict and fear will destroy it. We are here to prevent that." Every leader listened, stunned into silence. The sheer truth of her words sank in. Humanity had existed before all known empires. They were older, wiser, and stronger, and yet they had chosen patience over dominance, guidance over tyranny. Belron whispered in awe. All the myths were true. Humanity did not vanish. They evolved beyond the need for power. Meanwhile, across the rim, scientists and engineers scrambled to understand the human ships. Every technology examined challenged known physics. The hulls were composed of materials older than any element cataloged, yet perfectly lightweight and energy conductive. The engines bent space-time, allowing faster-than-light travel beyond any known method. Elar stared at the schematics, shaking. "It's impossible. They're centuries ahead of everything we have. How can a species achieve this and leave no trace for millions of years?" Velron responded quietly. "They did not leave traces for conquest. They left lessons. The ruins were not tombs, they were reminders. Humanity does not need to dominate. They teach and observe. That is their way." The humans began contacting different empires individually. On every world, their message was consistent. "We do not claim rule. We only ask that civilizations rise with wisdom and respect. The galaxy belongs to all. We offer knowledge, guidance, and memory." Some races accepted immediately. The peaceful Tyrians welcomed human emissaries, their fleets escorting human ships to share knowledge. Other empires hesitated. Militaristic civilizations like the Korth Dominion struggled to trust what they could not fight or fully understand. Yet everywhere humanity appeared, calm and gentle authority followed. No war, no destruction. The galaxy was witnessing power not through dominance but through restraint. Belron returned to the ruins on the gray planet, hoping to understand the link between the sphere and the human fleet. The sphere pulsed more strongly than ever, as if excited by the presence of the returning humans. Symbols rotated faster, rearranging themselves, forming messages readable only by Velron's advanced scanners. The children have returned. Memory flows. Teachings awaken. All life remembers the firstborn. Elar, watching over his shoulder, whispered, "It's like the planet itself knows they are here." Velron nodded slowly. "It does. Humanity never left. They merely waited for the galaxy to grow enough to recognize them. Across the galaxy, the revelation shook every empire. The idea that humans were the firstborn caused scholars, priests, and rulers to question history, myths, and their own place in the cosmos. Entire civilizations traced their origin back to ancient records, finding hints of human influence, symbols, architectural patterns, and even genetic traces. The message was simple yet profound. Humanity had existed before all others, but never to conquer. Instead, they guided, observed, and waited. And now, after millions of years, they were back. Ships across the galaxy adjusted their courses, fleets paused their drills, and even rival empires began tentative communication with each other. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy felt a shift, not of fear but of understanding. In the midst of it all, Velron stared at the night sky above the ruins. Stars flickered as though recognizing something long forgotten. They were not gods, he murmured. They were people, wiser, older, and patient beyond imagination. Alar stood beside him. Do you think they will stay? Velron shook his head slowly. No, they are not here to rule. They are here to remind, to teach, to awaken the galaxy. But one day they will leave again, and we will carry the memory. As the human fleet moved through the stars, ships passing quietly through every system, one thing was certain. The galaxy had met its oldest teachers. And for the first time, every being understood what it meant to be part of a living, growing history. The firstborn had returned, not to conquer, not to enslave, but to guide. And everywhere their presence touched, hope began to bloom. The galaxy had never been so silent. Every empire, every fleet, every civilization paused to watch the return of humanity. Stories that had been considered myths were now real. Legends of the firstborn were not stories. They were truth. The Council of Civilizations convened in the Grand Chamber, more crowded than ever. Leaders from hundreds of worlds appeared as holograms. Some were pale with fear, others wide-eyed with curiosity. The chamber vibrated with tension. Counselor Drantel of the Varn Dominion slammed a fist on the table. This cannot be allowed. We cannot let them exist unchecked. They are far too advanced, far too powerful. Ambassador Kirilan of the Tyrians spoke calmly. And yet they have not attacked us. They have done nothing but speak of peace. Perhaps they are not a threat but a guide. Across the room, Velron's hologram flickered into life. He spoke quietly, measuredly. I have studied the ruins. I have observed the signal. Humanity is not here to dominate. They are here to awaken the galaxy, to remind it of knowledge and wisdom that has been lost. Drantel's voice rose. And if they choose not to awaken us, Velron? If they see a threat in us and decide to destroy us? We have no defenses against them. None. They could end every empire in a single moment. Velron's tone did not waver. That is exactly why we must listen. They do not wish to destroy. They demonstrate restraint. They hold power beyond our comprehension, yet they choose patience, not force. That is the sign of the firstborn. Meanwhile, above the Orion Nebula, the human fleet moved calmly. Elysium Ascendant projected a message to all leaders, large and small. The voice of Admiral Ria Solari filled every communication channel. People of the galaxy, you have feared the unknown. You have doubted the past. We understand your concerns. But know this. Humanity has returned not to conquer. We have long observed the growth of civilizations. We have guided where guidance was needed. Now we come to remind the galaxy of what it can achieve, not to dictate it. The message spread like a wave. Thousands of transmissions confirmed the words, and fleets everywhere paused. Weapon systems previously aimed at the unknown humans, powered down as if acknowledging the authority in their words. In the depths of the council chamber, silence filled the room. No one could argue against the calm power radiating from the message. It was not threat. It was authority. It was responsibility. The Korth Dominion, known for their aggressive militarism, had gathered their fleets along the border. General Torvak stood on the bridge of his flagship, fists clenched. We must act, he shouted. They are too powerful. One command from them could destroy every world. The ship's sensors suddenly went wild. Systems blinked, engines slowed, and weapons locked down without explanation. On the view screen, a human ship appeared, not attacking, not aggressive, but radiating energy. The communication officer spoke, voice trembling. General, they are not attacking. They are demonstrating control without destruction. Torvak froze. He realized that the humans could have obliterated them instantly. Yet they did nothing. Every officer on the bridge felt the same overwhelming truth. Humanity was beyond violence. Their power was not measured in destruction, but in restraint. Back in the council chamber, the leaders began to debate. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had existed before the rise of every empire. Their technology was unmatched. Their moral authority was clear. But could a species that wielded such power be trusted? Velran continued. We have proof. Ancient archives recovered from the ruins show records, technology, and star maps, predating all known civilizations. Genetic studies reveal traces of humanity in multiple species across the galaxy. They were everywhere, guiding evolution, nurturing life. Ambassador Kirillan nodded. And they do not dominate. They teach. They observe. They wait for civilizations to grow and only intervene to prevent total destruction. That is wisdom, not tyranny. Drantel slammed his fist again. And if we refuse to accept them? If we continue to see them as a threat? Do you think they will forgive our arrogance? Velran's voice grew softer but firm. They have patience beyond our understanding. But every species must decide whether it is ready for their presence. Humanity gives us a choice, to learn or to face consequences of our own making. Across multiple systems, humans began to demonstrate their power and restraint. They visited worlds torn by war, disabling weapons without destroying the civilizations. The entire fleets were neutralized in training exercises not through violence, but by control over technology and energy. No life was lost, yet every observer understood clearly. Humanity could have destroyed them if they wished. On a peaceful world called Tyra Minor, a delegation of humans visited the Council of Scholars. Children and leaders alike gathered, watching in awe. Admiral Solari spoke softly. We are not here to rule. We are here to remind you that knowledge is power, and restraint is wisdom. Every civilization has the ability to grow. Every species can choose peace. We offer guidance, but the choice is yours. The children asked questions about the ruins, about the past, and about how humans could have achieved such understanding. Every answer emphasized patience, careful thought, and respect for all life. The leaders of the Tyrians were moved to tears. They realized that the humans were not just advanced. They were compassionate, measured, and deeply aware of responsibility. Meanwhile, Velran returned to the ancient ruins on the gray planet. The sphere in the underground chamber pulsed brighter than ever, almost as if it were responding to the presence of humanity above. Symbols rotated across the walls, now forming complete sentences in the translator's display. The children have returned. Memory flows. Teachings awaken. All life remembers the firstborn. Elar looked over his shoulder. It's like the planet itself is alive, like it knew they were coming. Velran nodded slowly. It does. Humanity never left. They merely waited for the galaxy to be ready. He studied the symbols further. The sphere projected visions of humanity across the stars, building civilizations, teaching new species, guiding evolution. The vision ended with a single statement glowing brighter than the rest. We are not gods. We are humanity. We return to remind. The words echoed in Velran's mind. For the first time in his life, he understood the full scope of the firstborn. They were not conquerors. They were teachers. They were guardians of knowledge and wisdom. The galaxy slowly began to accept the truth. Even militaristic empires like the Korth began to lower their weapons, realizing the futility of resistance. Civilizations that had been at war paused, reconsidering the paths they had chosen. Across millions of worlds, people looked up at the stars and whispered the name humanity. No empire dared to oppose them. No fleet challenged them. And yet the humans did not take control. They offered guidance, technology, and history, but only to those who were ready to receive it. Velran spoke once more to the council. They give us everything we need to grow. Knowledge, wisdom, restraint. They are the firstborn, not to dominate, but to teach. This is a rare gift. We must not waste it. The leaders nodded. Slowly, carefully, they began to understand. The galaxy had been judged, not by violence, not by war, but by restraint, morality, and patience. Humanity had shown them the way. High above, the human fleet prepared to depart from the Orion Nebula. Admiral Solari looked at the stars, her calm expression reflecting the glow of distant suns. She spoke softly to her officers. The galaxy has seen what we are capable of. They have learned restraint, hope, and responsibility, but our work is not complete. There are still worlds to awaken, still civilizations to guide. Lieutenant Kalen nodded. And if they do not accept it? Ria's eyes were steady. Then we wait. Humanity is patient. They will come to understanding in time. We do not force growth. We only light the path. As the fleet moved into deeper space, signals from the ancient ruins pulsed in harmony. Memory and history flowed back into the galaxy. Every planet touched by the Firstborn began to awaken. Technology, knowledge, and understanding returned after millennia of sleep. Velron looked at the sphere one last time. The galaxy will remember, he whispered. Not because they forced it, but because humanity taught it. They have judged us, and shown us what we can become. The stars shimmered as the human fleet disappeared into the void. Across the galaxy, every being felt the presence of the Firstborn, alive, patient, and watching. And for the first time in countless cycles, the galaxy understood true wisdom. The galaxy had changed forever. After the return of humanity, every civilization paused to reconsider its history, its knowledge, and its place among the stars. No empire could claim superiority. No fleet could boast unmatched power. Humanity had demonstrated something far greater: restraint, wisdom, and moral authority. On the surface of a vibrant planet orbiting a yellow star, a small group of humans had landed. Children ran across fields that were once battle zones, untouched and alive again. Gardens bloomed under alien suns, nurtured by technology far older than any recorded history. The humans had not arrived to claim land or demand tribute. They were here to restore balance, to guide, to awaken potential. Admiral Rhea Solari walked among the people, her calm presence radiating a sense of trust and safety. Alien leaders, initially wary, now approached freely. They came to ask questions, to learn, to witness the wisdom of the Firstborn. "We are not rulers," Rhea told the gathered crowd, which included humans, aliens, and scholars from dozens of civilizations. "We are here to remind you that life is precious. Knowledge is a gift, and growth comes from choice, not force. Every species can achieve greatness. We are here to help you find your path." A young Varnian scientist stepped forward. "But why did you leave us? Why wait so long?" Rhea's gaze softened. "Because wisdom must be earned. Power without understanding is dangerous. We observed from afar to allow you to grow. Now, when the galaxy faced instability, we returned. You will not need us to rule, but we can help you rise without destroying yourselves." The crowd listened in silence. Even those who had feared humanity now felt awe and hope. Across countless worlds, the effect of humanity's return became clear. Ancient machines and structures, once dormant, were reactivated by the Firstborn's presence. Libraries of knowledge, star maps, and archives that had been lost for millions of years began to hum with energy, sharing data with civilizations ready to receive it. Dr. Velron continued his work on the gray planet with Elar. The sphere in the underground chamber pulsed in rhythm with the galaxy, a silent heartbeat linking humanity to every world. Symbols shifted, now forming instructions for rebuilding lost technologies and understanding complex science. "They are teaching us again," Elar whispered, astonished. "Not by force, but by example. We are learning what they once knew, and perhaps more." Velron nodded. "And that is their greatest gift. Knowledge without judgment, guidance without coercion. The Firstborn do not demand obedience, they demand understanding." He looked at the ruins and saw them not as relics of the past, but as bridges to the future. Every structure, every symbol, every signal was a lesson meant to awaken potential. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as teachers. In the skies above the Orion Nebula, the human fleet remained active. Ships traveled from system to system, visiting worlds in need, repairing damaged ecosystems, and offering technology to civilizations ready to accept it. The United Terran Continuum had become the silent guardians of the galaxy, not by dominance but by presence. In one system ravaged by centuries of war, humanity's arrival brought peace. Weapons ceased functioning in the presence of the Firstborn, ships powered down, fleets retreated, and leaders gathered under a single council to discuss their future. Humanity mediated, offered knowledge, and demonstrated restraint. The lesson was clear. Survival and growth were possible through cooperation, not conflict. Children of multiple species gathered to watch human instructors demonstrate technologies and sciences lost to time. The aliens marveled at the teachings, understanding principles that had puzzled scholars for generations. The humans never imposed, never forced. They guided, answered questions, and then left room for the new generation to explore and innovate. Back in the Grand Chamber, the leaders of the galaxy reflected on the changes. The Council of Civilizations had restructured its priorities. No longer were disputes settled by force or dominance. With humanity as a model, diplomacy, cooperation, and the pursuit of knowledge became central tenets. Councillor Drantel, once the most vocal opponent of humanity, now spoke quietly to the assembly. I admit I feared them. I thought they would destroy us. But they did not. They taught us restraint, wisdom, and responsibility. I see now that they are not rulers, they are guides. Perhaps we too can learn to lead our civilizations without fear. Ambassador Kiralan smiled. They have returned not to claim the galaxy but to inspire it. That is true power. Velron returned to the sphere one final time. The pulsing light filled the chamber, and the symbols formed one last message glowing brighter than ever. Every civilization has the capacity for greatness. We are humanity. We return not to rule but to awaken. Remember who came before and strive to surpass us in wisdom and compassion. Elar whispered, They trust us to carry the legacy. Velron nodded, Yes. And now it is up to us to prove we are worthy. Outside, the stars shimmered as if acknowledging the firstborn's words. Across the galaxy, life began to flourish in ways it never had before. Worlds once barren became green. Technologies long forgotten were restored. Empires that had fought for millennia now collaborated. The legacy of humanity was not only remembered, it was lived. On Sul, the birthplace of humanity, humans and aliens worked side by side to establish learning centers, research stations, and libraries. It was a hub for sharing knowledge across the galaxy. Children of different species played together, learning about the stars, science, and the history of the firstborn. The planet itself seemed alive, a symbol of unity and growth. Admiral Rhea Solari addressed a gathering on Sol's central plaza, her voice calm and steady. We do not state a rule. We leave, but we remain. Our presence is not a crown, but a reminder. Every civilization has the right to grow, to learn, to achieve greatness. Carry this knowledge forward. Protect life. Seek understanding. Humanity exists not to dominate, but to guide. The crowd listened, inspired. They understood the lesson. The galaxy could rise above fear, conflict, and division. All it required was patience, understanding, and responsibility. As weeks turned into cycles, humanity's fleet gradually withdrew to the far reaches of space. They did not vanish. They watched silently, waiting for civilizations to mature further. Messages continued to arrive, offering guidance to those who asked, but always leaving the choice in the hands of each species. Velron stood once more in the ruins, now fully restored and active. The sphere pulsed gently, a constant reminder of what had come before and what could be achieved. He turned to Elar. We are now the stewards of this knowledge, he said. We will teach, guide, and remember. And one day perhaps we will rise to the level of the firstborn. Elar smiled. It is a heavy responsibility. Velron nodded. Yes, but it is also a gift. Across the galaxy, stars seemed brighter, systems more alive, and civilizations more hopeful. Humanity had returned, but not as conquerors. They had returned as teachers, guardians, and reminders of what the galaxy could be. The firstborn had shown restraint, wisdom, and compassion. They had demonstrated that true power lay not in destruction, but in guidance. Every civilization that touched their legacy now faced a choice, to follow in their footsteps, to learn and to grow. And somewhere beyond the edges of the known galaxy, the human fleet sailed silently among the stars, watching, guiding, and waiting for the next generation to rise. Velron looked at the sky one last time. The memory of humanity's return burned bright in his mind. He whispered softly, almost to himself, We thought we discovered gods. But they were not gods. They were people, wiser, older, and patient beyond measure. They are humanity, the firstborn, and they have given us a gift we cannot waste. Across the galaxy, the word echoed in every mind, every heart, every being humanity. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy felt hope. pure, unshakable, and eternal.